I was going to speak just in general about it since nobody else got up. Patrick Maloney, 11 Dawson Avenue. How long do I have? 10 full minutes?
Up to 10 minutes, yes, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that. First of all, Pat, did you get my name? Yeah, okay. First of all, I want to thank the firefighters. You went to my house twice during the time that my wife was sick. My wife had dementia, and you came and you took care of her and you took care of our family, and I do appreciate that. I'm not here to disparage any of the work that you do. I know that you work hard, and you're going to see in my comments that I talk about things both for and against this particular contract. At the end of the day, it's the people that are sitting over here that have to make their decision, and I'm just giving my opinion. But I think that you do work hard, and I do not want to take anything away from that. I want to say that I've lived in Warwick for 22 years. My wife lived here almost her entire life, except for when I was in the military for about 3 years. We were away. So in addition to helping my wife, I have 3 children, and regarding the contract and increases that may happen to the taxpayers, not taking into consideration any concessions, I've told my kids, my oldest is 24, my next one's 21, and my next one's 18. Every year I tell them to leave Warwick, and every year I tell them to leave Rhode Island. And I think it's a real shame that we educate these children and then we tell them to leave, because they're our greatest resource. So I just see things going in one direction. So I looked at I heard the numbers that the city presented. I don't know the exact number, so I'm going to say approximately there's a 9 to 10% increase over 3 years. 8 to 10%. I don't know the exact number, but I'm also a small business owner in Warwick, in addition to living here, and I will tell you that in 2008 we went into recession. It took us years to get out of the recession. We finally got out of the recession, and then we had 2 years of COVID, which decimated businesses here in Warwick. And now we're talking about going back into a recession, and as the administration said, we're having historic inflation. So with the $350 million that went into a vote for schools, I think that we need to be very, very careful about additional increases for any contract, not just the firefighters. I know that you can't speak to any other unions having an increase in contract, but as a taxpayer, I can. And I know that you have these other contracts coming up. I was on the school committee in Warwick. I will tell you that I negotiated a contract or 2 with the teachers union, and it was extremely difficult. And there were times that we did talk about having to go to arbitration. And typically you don't want to do that, but it is not a bad thing to have an outside person come in and say to both sides, both the city side and the fire side, city, this is what's fair to you. Firefighters, this is what's fair to you. And it takes a very courageous person to say, okay, we weren't able to get it done. Let's go to arbitration. Okay, it's very hard on both sides, because the union is fighting to make sure that the firefighters gets what's fair to them. And every single one of them believes that, they work hard, and they do. And as any individual who works hard deserves a raise. That goes without saying. But the way that the city is right now, prior to this contract, we had 2 years of COVID. The state got a ton of money for COVID. Governor McKee gave a bonus to state employees who got, I think it was because they got the COVID shot. He gave that to them. So I want to say, if we are going to ratify this contract and give the firefighters give the firefighters the compensation in the contract, that we need to find other funding sources besides on the backs of the taxpayers. There's federal money out there, there's state money out there. These people deserve to get paid. What are you, city council people and our mayor, doing to not put every single increase on the taxpayers' back? Because I'm going to tell you, with the increases for taxes, water, sewer, electric, and other things outside of these contracts, people are going to lose their houses. Plain and simple. When I talk about having courage, I fought to get a fair contract for the schools and for the taxpayers, and I did not get reelected in 2012. I did not get reelected in 2014. I did not get reelected in 2016. I did not get reelected in 2018. I did not get reelected in 2020 or in 22. So I know the reason you guys want to ratify the contract, as Mr. Cushman and Mr. Corner that sat in the seat before you, who did not vote for a firefighter contract, he's not sitting in that seat right now. So you have to have the courage to do the right thing for the taxpayers and for the firefighters. It shouldn't be one group of people that dictates how you vote. If we are going to give our firefighters additional salary, then we should be looking for grants for equipment that they need. We should be looking for grants for repairs to the buildings that they need. That's a simple solution. And I'll tell you, I was on the school committee. We found grants for things. I'm not saying that they don't deserve it, but I'm saying use your imagination and make things happen so that it's not just on the taxpayer's back. It's appropriate to do that. Regarding families leaving, there was a column before the last election by Mayor Picozzi, and I'm paraphrasing here, that some people would lose their homes. He said, quote, "We have to make sure the cost of the bond," and that's regarding the school bond, "doesn't force residents out of the city," Picozzi said Tuesday when asked about the remark. I say we need to make sure every contract doesn't force residents out of the city too. Because when people leave here, they stop paying taxes. And when people leave here because they tell people they can't afford to live here, it's not going to make the people who move in confident to come here. Now I'll just add this. Well, I've got a couple of things. The life expectancy for firefighters is 10 years less than the average person. So I believe that they should be compensated while they're here with us. They give their lives to this profession. They give their lives to the people of Warwick. It is appreciated. And so that's one reason why they want to fight so hard to get for what they need for themselves and for the protection of their family. I don't blame them for coming in here and asking for a raise. Firefighters have a 9% chance of being diagnosed with cancer and 14% greater chance of dying from cancer. So this is another reason why they're saying, well, they don't think about their retirement. They're thinking about right now because they might not have one. I do want to talk about the first year, the 2% increase. That 2% increase, that raise equals $411,000.
You have 1 minute, Mr. Maloney.
Thank you. I'm finishing up. That 2% increase equals $411,000. This will allow the firefighters to pay back the memorandum overpayment that was in September of 21. There was an overpayment of $385,000. I don't know if during discussions the council said, we overpaid you $385,000. We're going to give you a $411,000 raise. You guys are taking on the court. Would they say, hey, because you gave us this $411,000 raise, we're going to forgo taking you to court, which will save the Warwick City lawyers' fees, court fees, and everything else. So I don't know if you worked that out, but if you don't ratify this and it goes before someone to arbitrate, thank you, then maybe that's something you can work out. But there should be fair things for the firefighters. There should be fair things for the taxpayers. Thank you.
Next speaker, please. Just please identify yourself.